Okay.
Yeah.
What do we need to consider for provisions for students and staff that are actively on campus, that are in residences?
I don't think this accident affects those people in residence. I don't think it occurred close enough to be concerned with their safety at this time.
Yeah, Mark Terry, Director of Physical Operations. Well, with the mental health, that would correlate with student health and counseling. So any of them that, of course, that live in residences can seek counseling. As Kirsty pointed out, of course, the residences, especially the village, is not close to the impact area, so there is no immediate threat to them.
However, they might be friends with those who have been impacted by the accident, so we would still let everyone know that counseling is available to those who have been impacted.
This is Kirsty, Occupational Health and Safety. I think that we also need to consider not just the students that are affected by this, but the construction workers and the emergency response personnel as well. There's a lot of people affected this far beyond the scope of just the students. So counseling will be offered to everybody involved. If they decline, that's fine, but we do wish to make contact with all people that wish to take us up on our services for counseling. And as mentioned, that will be in coordination with the student health and counseling services.
I'd like to say something as well. As the athletics director, I'd like to offer services to those affected, to construction workers, the students and staff. We can offer physiotherapy services and any other therapy services at our athletes' care facility at the track and field center. And this facility, it consists of a core group of sports specialists that have been involved in care of Toronto athletes at the highest levels of competition, and they have many years of experience, so it's not just students or volunteers. There will be some, but they will be seen by experts, and after they have been discharged from hospital, we can offer those services, and we can, if it's possible, we can offer them free as well for some time.
Yeah, as a director of the residence, we can, like, those who are affected for the accidents, we can locate them to take McKinsey would be a good idea.
I have a question for the emergency health member. Disaster victims and those during the evacuation may experience emotional, cognitive, physical, and psychological effects. Students may also experience a lack of enthusiasm in education, can be depressed, and those who are lost loved ones and friends can have suicidal thoughts themselves. As students affairs, we are definitely worried about the mental health and stability of our students and parents, so we request what kind of services would be provided in order to deal with these kind of circumstances from the health emergency operations.
I think that's a great question, but I don't think right now that we should focus on this. I think we should really focus on what is at hand and the task that we have, in which that is, I believe, is what provisions are put in place for students and staff. And I like, by the way, I apologize, Danny Zarek, Director of Communications, and then continuing on where I was, I think it's unfortunate, but at times of distress, it really brings people together. So I think it would be very, very smart, beneficial if we have some sort of student support group, either the York Student Federation that puts together some sort of workshop or some sort of event that brings students together. Because I really think maybe a weekend retreat, something on those lines that brings students together and feel like a commotion, so a connection to everybody else. And regarding the offices, I do agree with what you said previously before. Those that do not have an immediate need to attend their office can either work from home, or they can, if we as a university can arrange the logistics for 55,000 students, I'm sure we can arrange the logistics for 100 or so teachers and research assistants.
Mark Tarian, Director of Physical Plant Operations. As we said, this is just happening. It's initial. my department is working in relation to the various departments that were affected in the buildings to potentially interim relocate them and to work out of other offices while this is ongoing, so we can deem the area safe for them to actually go back and to their regular offices. As I can say, I can't speak to exactly where they're going to be, and following this meeting, I will get together with my department as well as the appropriate university department services to effectively assess the situation and relocate offices and employees as necessary.
Okay, in terms of the retreat idea that was brought up, could it be played in with the memorial? And we also need to discuss how the memorial is being managed. Who's going to be in charge of that?
Martin, Director of Plant Operations. I won't be in charge of that, but whoever we speak to, I will work with them in order to pick the suitable and best location for this.
Sorry, what was that question?
Student Affairs should definitely be in on this.
Yes, I believe Communications and Student Affairs. The question was who should be in charge of the memorial and how can we play that in with the idea of a retreat.
As I mentioned at the last conference call, I believe that the memorial should be held at the Rexall Center, and it should include any university students, their families, any person concerning to construction workers that would be affected. And we would provide all the necessities like bouquets of flowers, portraits, collages with people's and individuals' lives, and we'll communicate with the family members as well to have a brief description about each and every individual's life that has been passed away.
Martin, Physical Plant Operations, to add here, isn't the Rexall Center an open stadium?
The Rexall Center has a closed stadium as well.
Oh, okay.
There's a closed place where we could do this at the Rexall Center.
Ryan Smith, Control. Site would be better.
Ryan had wanted to speak. He can go ahead.
Yeah, it's Ryan, the Comptroller of Finance. The proposal for a memorial service at the Rexall Center may wind up costing more than what the financial department is willing to put out right now. The plans for that seem awfully extravagant at the time being. What my recommendation would be is to have some sort of group get-together or some sort of temporary memorial service, and then find funds later to put in some sort of statue or art installation or something to commemorate the lives of those that were lost in this accident. Something at a later date that would be more representative of a proper budget rather than a full-out bonanza at the Rexall Center right now.
Yeah, I would agree with that, Director of Physical Plant Operations. As well, I don't know if the indoor facilities would be adequate enough to fit the student body and faculty that would got cut off.
Just a quick comment. Maybe we should spend more time focusing on actual disaster measures rather than 15 minutes talking about a memorial and all the insane ideas we have.
Yes. The memorial is actually on the media briefing list for this. Can we move on then to staff, student, parent, visitors still have great concerns over safety? What steps will we take immediately to ensure the safety of the campus for the future?
Ryan Smith, Comptroller of Finance again. Just for the future of the campus, the losses to the buildings are fully insured. Whatever isn't covered under the university's insurance, we will seek reparations from the private contractors that's doing the construction work. But in that regard, financially, the university is not going to be losing any money on this accident.
Kirsty Armit, Occupational Health and Safety. Until the Ministry of Labor has completed their investigation, the site will be closed off as with cooperation from the Toronto Police Service. Once the Ministry of Labor deems that it is safe, or that the work can recommence, the area will be cordoned off. So safety is not so much an issue until deemed safe by the Ministry of Labour, and that's working in conjunction again with building inspectors and engineers to ensure the safety of reopening access.
Okay, so we're going to say that we're not considering the safety because it's cordoned off, and does that mean that York Lanes will need to be closed?
I wouldn't say York Lanes needs to be closed unless it's deemed a risk of safety. At this time, the Ministry of Labour has only cordoned off the accident site.